This is the Nico Lagan Show. Frankly, motivation is bullshit. What you need is discipline, and your mindset is the difference between success and failure. Warning. Warning. This show contains explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. Real, raw, and shooting you straight. This is the Nico Lagan Show. And now your host, Nico.
What is going on? Thank you for joining us. I have the extreme pleasure to be sitting with Dorian Price. What's going on, brother?
Not much. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for having us. We are located where you teach normally, which is great. Thank you for inviting us in your environment. So for the people out there that are not as old as you and I, who are you? What do you do, and why the hell do you do it?
I'm not real good at talking about myself. My name's Dorian, and I'm just a normal person. I don't really know how to make myself seem any more than what it is. I mean, I'm just a regular person with a certain skill set. That's all.
You know what? I'll tell the listeners who the hell you are.
Definitely going to help out.
So I remember you fighting for the Ultimate Fighter.
Yes.
So basically, Dorian was part of the batch of fighters that made the UFC what they are today, but didn't necessarily cash out like the guys do it today. You were one of the pioneers of the sport. The hardcore fan knows who you are, so don't sell yourself short by saying
I appreciate
you're
it.
not an average. You're not a fucking average guy. That's bullshit.
Nah.
There's average guys walking all over this place, and those average guys never fought in a ring. They never fought in a cage.
Okay.
They never fucking
Fair
went
play.
to Thailand.
Yeah.
Changed the whole structure of their life to the Thai culture. So don't. I'm not gonna let you call yourself
I appreciate
normal
it.
because
Thank
you
you
ain't
very
fucking.
much.
You're not normal, and you're not average.
I'm
Let's make
definitely not
that
normal
clear.
in the head, but I'm trying to be.
So just there, that makes you not average.
Okay.
So that's who the hell he is. Now you're coaching, obviously. From what I've been told, you were coaching last week, right, in the UFC?
No, actually, I didn't get to go down. One of the guys I had worked with, a guy named Phil Hoss.
Okay.
I work with him. One of the guys I guess I'm most recognizable for working with is Matt Brown.
Love isn't it the Immortal?
The Immortal.
Love Matt Brown.
One of my best
guy.
friend. His story's incredible, and everything. Do you know how he got the name The Immortal?
Listen, this is one of the guys I would love to sit down and have a conversation with. He's been fighting for
I'll
like
put
15
you in touch with
years.
him. He's a legend. I think even longer than that, maybe 20.
Like just in the UFC, he's been there for at least 10 years in the UFC.
I think he's behind Jim Miller, I think Cowboy, but he's definitely, I think, in the top 6 for the amount of UFC fights.
No doubt. And he's still at 170.
Still at 170, yeah.
He's never bubbled up.
Never. Only time he went up is when after my season, The Ultimate Fighter, I helped get him on the next season because he was in the season right after me, and then he went to 185 because it was the season of 185.
Yeah.
So he went there, did good, eventually lost to Amir Sadala, who won the whole thing.
Yep.
And then, the rest of his career is history. Yeah, he's just been amazing, future Hall of Famer. If he doesn't make the Hall of Fame, I'm fucking boycotting the UFC.
But he looks cool, though. He looks like just a regular dude with a
very
strong work ethics. This is what I get from this guy.
Yeah, and life gave him a lot of the obstacles he's faced and everything have given him a lot of his work ethic. I mean, he's just a hard-nosed guy, but a real good guy.
You got to respect that.
Just a humble guy. Yeah, he's what a warrior is supposed to be, what a martial artist is supposed to be. He's the embodiment of that.
You know, you sound pretty much like him. The description, it's funny how you're capable of giving Matt Brown a great description, but you can't fucking give yourself
No, because he's my friend, so I like to sit there and it's hard to talk about yourself. You have to talk about yourself. There's a problem.
So you know what? Maybe if I want an intro for you, I'll ask him.
Ain't no telling what he'll tell you about me.
He'll tell me what you are. So this is an idea of who you are. Mm-hmm. There's one thing I really want to ask you, and this is what I love about fighters is normally something made you fight.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? What made you step into a gym and just say, you know what, fuck this, I'm doing this? Because it takes a special breed of person to not only martial art but decide to fight. So what made you step into the onto the mats the first time?
Pain. I had pain in my life, and I had rage and demons inside of me that if I didn't find something, they were going to devour what was left of my soul at that time. So pain is what got me into it, and pain's what kept me going. And the reduction of pain is what kind of caused me to retire.
Is it disrespectful for me to ask you what you refer as to pain? What do you consider? What?
I didn't really have a lot of direction at, the trauma growing up in a place like Baltimore, Maryland. There's a lot of things that maybe young kids shouldn't see. I still was blessed to have good parents and a strong community around me. But I guess it's a sense of never feeling like I really belonged anywhere. I did have mental health issues, I guess, from maybe some of the trauma that things I had seen, and that maybe you shouldn't see at a young age. And I guess that coupled with maybe my mental health, that was probably the catalyst to want me. And also I wanted to. It was around the time when I don't remember if you remember the Charlie Sheen Navy SEALs, the first one, the movie that came out. Yeah. Then it was around the time where Kickboxer, Van Damme, and then don't forget that, I don't know if you're familiar with the black exploitation films, Jim Kelly's, the karate movies with the Jim Browns.
Nope.
And they would always karate chopping the cops and then running off. Jim Kelly was the one that was in Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon.
Okay.
The guy, remember Jim Kelly now?
Yeah.
And so it was always, in my generation, martial arts was always there in the background, from Kung Fu theater. We used to watch the Wu-Tang and those, and so it was always around, even though I was playing in other sports. But team sports weren't really good for me, because I know a lot of times, I remember once I was trying to pass the ball to the guy and he kept dropping my passes. So I remember I tried to fight him in the locker room, and I was like, this team sport thing is not working out for me. I was talented at it, but it didn't work out. Not as talented as my younger brothers, but so I guess that's a long story. That's longer than it needed to be.
There's no time that it needs to be. It just is. So if that's the time it takes, man, you can continue that for half an hour. And
I appreciate it.
Listen, so martial art was around you, especially Kung Fu, from what you're saying, because back in those days, Muay Thai wasn't here yet. Kung Fu was.
But Muay Thai wasn't a foreign concept to me, though, because at that age, born in 1976, a lot of my family was in the Vietnam War. So you would hear stories about, people coming back, and they would tell you a lot of them did R&R in Thailand. Yeah. They would always talk about some, they say, fancy karate. They're doing some fancy karate over there.
It ain't karate.
It definitely wasn't karate, but, And then I had a cousin that was stationed in Okinawa around that time, and he would do karate, and he would calcify his knuckles. He would talk about them hitting the boards over and over. And so it wasn't a foreign concept, even though I didn't get into it right away, but I was familiar with Southeast Asia.
What was the first martial art you did?
I dabbled in Kyokushin, and it was a guy at the YMCA. It was like a guy teaching Kyokushin, this Japanese guy. So I went in there, did that for a little bit of judo, but it just wasn't I was involved with other sports. I thought my future would be in basketball, football, other sports, even played lacrosse, just you name it. But I really thought my calling was going to be in basketball.
So when did you get the calling? When did the mat start calling you back to martial art?
I have to say I messed up in the sport of basketball to go into college. Probably don't want to go down that road too much, or that rabbit hole, but I messed up a little bit, and then I ended up in Virginia Beach, and because of going back to the Charlie Sheen movie, I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. I was like, oh, this would be cool. I was like, this is violence, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do with the violence that's coming to me, and they or trained at it, but I'm like, I'm sure they'll teach me how to do this. I want to do this, and I could swim pretty good. And I ended up. This is back to Black Belt Magazine, so I'm really dating myself. I don't know if you remember Black Belt Magazine.
Yep.
Do you remember in the back of the magazine, they used to have the Panther videos?
Yep.
Do you remember Panther videos?
Yep.
There was a guy in there, and it was Frank Coochie was his name. And it was him, and he had on an MP5 handgun, and he had on his camouflage, and it was a SEAL, and it's like U.S. Navy SEAL, and it had all his accolades. Kali, a screamer, all the things he could do, Muay Thai. I didn't know what any of these were, but I was just like, oh man, that's a Navy SEAL. And so I looked, and then you remember if you flip back further after the Panther videos, they would have the states and which schools were located in each state. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It would say Jersey or Virginia, and it would have the various schools. And I just put two and two together. I was like, oh wow, this guy's in Virginia Beach. I'm going there. And I just went there under the assumption I was going to like get this guy to mentor me into becoming a Navy SEAL. I never thought my path would turn out this way. Because I remember I walked in there, I was like, hey, he was like, well, we offer these martial arts. And I said, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Could you help me become a Navy SEAL? I was like, I don't care about the fight. You a Navy SEAL. Can you show me how to be one? And he was like, why don't we just get you into some martial arts classes? And I used to clean up the dojo and things like that as a form of trade-off for not being able to pay and afford.
But that's great, though. That's a life lesson right there, if you ask me. It's not all about money; it's about respect, and that.
Oh, it's about respect. I still call the man Mr. C now. To this day, I'm a grown man, and
that's a form of respect.
I still call him Mr. C. I mean,
yeah,
and sometimes, when I see him or message him from time to time, it's like, hey, you call me Frank, and I'm just like, well, he's still Mr. C. It's funny because even some of the other guys that came up with the program, they're still, when we talk to each other, we'll still refer to him as Mr. C.
Do some of your guys now that you teach call you sir?
Some do, but it seems very awkward.
Awkward for you or awkward for them?
Awkward for me.
That's how he feels. That's just that. I'm just gonna. So the way you call him is probably exactly how he feels.
Yeah, he's doing good. I actually haven't talked to him in a while. I think he's out of the martial arts business. He's doing other things.
Maybe you should call him. Maybe that's a sign for you to call him.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely message him. Yeah.
So this is where your passion for martial arts started?
That's how I say, that was the first time I walked into that gym. And I started off doing Kali, a screamer, because I was
nice.
Like, okay. I'm like, all right, well, I used to carry knives. Again, going back to that pain, I was like, well, I probably should know how to use this.
It would make, if you're going to carry it, might as well use it. Might as well know how to use it, yeah.
But I was so messed up in the head. I used to walk around just praying like somebody would challenge me to a knife fight, and I'd go around the corner and I'd get into this like magical duel. Didn't realize, like, one day he gave me a red pen and another guy a red pen, and realized how much I didn't know and how badly I would get cut up.
I've done eskrima too.
Did they do the red pen?
No.
You never did the red pen trick?
No.
The red pen, they give both people the red markers. And they say, go ahead, this is your knife. And then when it's over, you don't realize how many cuts you really have when you're trying to execute the moves. And obviously they say you never want to get cut.
No, you're
down
dead.
This way, always the back. That's why they're always doing, they're always doing the back, blocking with the back. So if they say if you're going to get cut, best to take it on the back as opposed to in the under part of your arm. Doesn't matter. I still got fucked up regardless.
I've done a lot of Muay Thai. I've done a lot of Krav Maga. One of my friends from Israel and was a trainer in the IDF. Okay. I'd rather defend myself against a gun than a knife.
1,000%.
Knife scared the shit
1,000%.
out of me.
You have a better chance against a gun.
I don't care how good you are. You're getting cut.
You're going to get cut.
If we're fighting with a knife right now, we're going to meet each other at the hospital. We're both going to bleed.
Absolutely. There's no way around it. The movies make it look real good, though.
Oh yeah.
The movies make it look. Seagal made it look real good.
I attack you with a knife, and when you grab my wrist, I just stay there. No, I'm doing this, and whatever's in there, you're getting cut up.
Exactly.
No, it ain't a movie.
No, it definitely ain't a movie. But the movies make it look good, though.
My buddy always said, knife, run away, gun, get as close as possible.
Absolutely.
To him. This is just.
Well, you heard of the 25-foot rule, right? With the knife versus the gun, if a guy has a knife at 25 feet, he's liable to he'll get you before you can get the shot off on him.
I did.
Barn, you have some special tactics.
Back in the days, I did training with an old SWAT member because I did some security work for a guy in Ottawa, and that's what he was teaching. Mm-hmm. He had us at two ends of the gym. Yeah. You have one guy with a fake gun.
Correct.
With the holster, not the Kydex holsters like the one I like, but the one that the police officer carry that have a strap on top that needs to be clipped so somebody can't steal it from you.
Yes, I know.
And the 25 feet. It's just I had to translate it in my head, but it's you're saying that if you start running at me with a knife at 25 feet away,
Yes.
by the time I unclip it, take the gun out,
Yes.
there's no bullet in the chamber, so I got to rack it.
Yes.
And by the time I present my gun to shoot you, you're already
Yes.
cutting me off.
Yes.
It's 25 feet. It's fucked up when you think about it.
Really
25
fucked up.
feet in your head
Yeah.
is a long
It
way.
seems a long time. But what they said was they factor into panic too. The panic of the situation.
You got a crazy
the
person.
guys coming at you with a knife. Yeah,
screaming
so
at
you got you
Yeah.
factor in. You're gonna. I didn't realize you'll lose a couple of seconds. So it's,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean. Because you're
yeah.
gonna panic first, and then you might, unless you are very well trained in
Yep.
these type of altercations, you're gonna start panicking.
Yep.
God forbid you drop the gun. So I didn't realize how much goes into it. I'm like, there's no way. You just pull the thing out, and shoot the guy.
This and it's
But
like in the movies where you're hip shooting too.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that when people think
Oh,
you can
yeah,
hip
yeah,
shoot.
yeah.
No.
That's
You have
not
to
real.
remove it as you're presenting your gun. You're cranking the bullet in, and then you can shoot.
Yes.
That's the fastest way you can do it.
Yes.
But I've practiced this thousands and thousands and thousands of times, but I've never done it
I don't know
with
if
a
anyone-
crazy person
Yeah.
rushing me with a knife trying to kill me. That changes
They
everything.
started training once. I guess once that whole thing started getting through the airways, the 25-foot rule.
Yeah.
They started doing the red pen thing again, and this was just something my instructor. They obviously being a SEAL in Virginia Beach, having a lot
Yep.
of largest military installation and stuff. So we had a lot of guys come through there. They do the same thing with the red pen.
But it makes sense.
With the fake gun and see,
Yep.
can you get this out before this
Yep.
guy can get to you? And a lot of times it's surprising how fast someone can close the distance with 25 feet.
The SWAT guy that trained us, he wouldn't even recommend the gun. He would say, take your baton out. Because it's right there,
The
smack
baton.
it, and as soon as the guy gets close, just smack him with
Yeah.
it. And
Baton
especially
or a
in
flashlight.
especially in the shin bone.
Yeah.
A baton, I'm going for your shin bones. You
Yeah.
ain't walking again.
Or the hands.
Oh,
Defang the snake, like
that's
in
another
Kali Eskrima.
underestimate in fighting.
Yeah.
If somebody holds a knife to you, I'm cutting your knuckles.
Yeah.
You're going to drop that knife right there.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that.
Well, the Filipinos used to do that. That's why they came up with the term, because apparently in those days, now this is how the story goes, the Spanish conquistadors, because that's why Filipinos have Spanish last names a lot.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
the conquistadors, I guess rattan wood grows wild in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So they called it defanging the snake because in those days they
clever.
couldn't reset bone, and most conquistadors only knew how to fence with their right hand. So just by breaking their hand,
They're done.
They're done.
Their
And-
right
or
hand's
they're going to have to
disabled.
learn to take the time, which could take years to acquire that kind of skill to be competent enough in battle with your left hand.
But during that fight, you're fucked.
Well, you're
if
done.
I destroy your right and you're not
Well, in that fight, you're dead. Yeah,
ambidextrous,
but
you're
if you
dead.
can survive, you know, there's one of
That's
their
a
soldiers.
big
you
if.
have. If
That's
yeah.
a big if, because you got a
Yeah.
pissed off Filipino trying. You tried
Yeah.
to kill a Filipino, he's probably gonna kill you too.
Oh,
Right?
he's gonna definitely kill you. But yeah, that's what they. So they would start calling that defanging the snake. Yeah.
I love the term. I've never heard that before. That's clever. That's
Yeah.
actually really
And
clever.
even in empty hands, the empty hand component of the
Yep.
Filipinos, when a guy punch at you, they would actually use your elbow to
Of
block
course.
to continue
Of
that
course, break your
defanging
hand
the
right
snake.
there.
Yeah.
But this is another thing. This is what I love about Muay Thai. I've broken my hand outside of a ring a few times.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will never punch. If I had to defend myself, I'd never punch with my hands.
No elbows.
It's gonna be elbows
Yeah.
and knees.
Yeah.
And another thing that I come from Canada. We're used to minus 40 Fahrenheit in the winter.
Okay. Yeah.
Am I gonna high kick somebody in the face with my winter boots? Fuck no.
No.
I'm gonna knee and elbow people.
Yes.
We gonna clinch.
Yes.
We gonna be
absolutely.
clinching.
Yeah.
So
Safest thing you can be in. Yeah.
yeah, especially with long arms.
Yeah.
long
limbs.
elbows, long
yeah,
knees.
They help.
Yeah.
They definitely helps a little bit.
So man, I love those type. I love the digress that we digress
That's
into.
fine. Hey.
No, but I love that stuff. That's the type of shit that I live and breathe. That stuff. I love it.
Okay. Well.
Explain to me, because this is a question I wanted to ask, and I want to make sure I don't forget. You started training, then 2002, 2003, you turned pro in MMA.
There was no such thing as
amateur back then.
I started going to Thailand not long after my first real couple fights were in Thailand as a teenager.
Shit.
And then I came back, started going back to the gym in Virginia Beach. And it all started because my family started making fun of me. I had my first fight, and it was back in the VHS days, and fought a guy at his gym in New York. And I remember I was so excited. I was going to bring it back, and it was over Thanksgiving, so I had my uncles, everyone was around, father, and I just could remember they just laughed at me. They just kept saying, "Why you turning your back? Why you look tired?" Then my uncle said, "Well, that's because the boy smoked weed. He tired. He not serious. He don't want to do this." And it got so mad, and then they kept saying, "Where the best at? Where's the best at what he do? Where did he do this fancy karate the best? And I was like, Thailand. It's like this. Well, why are you showing us a video of you beating up on some white guy from Brooklyn? Go over there and beat up on the Thais. And then they just started walking off. I remember I took the tape out and smashed it and then walked home from Thanksgiving. I was like, fuck you guys, and threw the tape out. And I was like, I'm going to Thailand some kind of way because this shit was embarrassing.
They did, as shitty as it was for them to say that at that time.
It was a reality check, and it
You
was
have to
honesty.
This is something that most men out there lack in their life.
I
There's
loved every
nobody
minute
with
of
the
it.
balls to tell them, you know what?
Yeah.
What you're doing is bullshit.
They weren't going to kiss
Step
my
it
ass.
up.
And the kid was good. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was some sort of superstar. Fuck, he was good. And I was doing the best I can with the knowledge I had at the time. But still, they still didn't want to, they always want to make me different generation. They weren't sugarcoating shit for me. They weren't going to make me feel good. There was no like just finish and you get a prize. They were like, nah. Fuck finish and win that shit. You don't win, you don't get a prize.
But that's how it should be.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest problems we have right now.
Yeah.
Is that the people out there are fucking used to receiving participation medals.
Yeah.
Oh, you've been a good boy. You showed up. Fuck that noise.
I can tell you, bro, I have my younger brother used to play on this AAU team for this guy. If they would go away, if they lost, they ain't eat. So they went.
Wow.
If they lost, they didn't eat.
So they're hungry.
You
They're
hungry?
really
He's like,
hungry.
yeah. He's like, let your fuel for winning be your, let that fuel you. Let that be your food.
But that's what Thailand is. This is one
They
thing.
were just playing basketball. I'm like, that's kind of rough. Fuck.
Yeah, but in Thailand it's
Very similar conditions.
But this is but right there, it's not somebody telling you you're not eating. If you
No.
ain't fucking fighting, you ain't fucking eating.
Yeah, that's the only way the gyms make money. I mean, twice a day we eat twice. We train twice a day. We eat twice a day. That are prepared meals. Anything outside of those two meals, there's always a rice cooker at the camp, so you can always just go in and get yourself a bowl of rice or something. But if you want anything else more than that, yeah, you got to go out there and get on your own. And from the time I got there, like I tell people, some people go over there and they pay thousands of dollars to stay over there for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And when people ask me, I say I never paid with cash, but my currency came from blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of heartache and loneliness. That was what I had to pay with, because you're paying with something over there. I don't know which way is better, but I survived that way.
Again, I think you're underestimating you. You're underestimating yourself. I don't think you'd survive. I think you thrives.
Yeah, I loved
If you
it.
were able to do it,
Yeah.
you didn't survive, because surviving
Okay,
means
good
you're
point.
just because in surviving it's the way your brain works. When you go into survival mode, you're not learning anything. All your body cares about is to survive until the next time that you're safe.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
psychologically wise, you didn't fucking survive. You thrive.
Okay.
It broke you, absolutely. But
Mhm.
if you break your bone, the calcium deposit that's going to hit your bone is going to make it stronger.
Yeah.
It'll be a bit fucked up. It'll have weird curve to it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I guarantee you, the same way you were talking about your knuckles.
Yeah.
Why do you think you calcify your knuckle? Calcifying your knuckles is calcium deposit
Okay.
on microfractures of bone that gets repaired with time. Your mind works the same way.
Definitely calcified my mind. Yeah.
So see, exactly.
Yeah.
You're man.
I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just selling yourself short, and I'm not gonna fucking allow
I
it.
appreciate it.
Fuck that. I'm here. I'm here for that.
I just like to remain humble as possible.
You can, one of the most dangerous guy I know, special force Canadian. Like he's been. We call our Navy SEAL like JTF2. This is
Okay.
the special forces in Canada. 16 years in the special force, 21 years in the armed forces. He's one of the most dangerous guys I know. I've never met somebody more humble. But he will tell you that he knows what to do in whatever situation.
Yeah.
But he prays it never happens. But if it
course.
needs to happen,
Yeah.
he won't hesitate.
Right.
But he is one of the most humble guys. So you can
Yeah.
still be humble while
Understandable.
being extremely confident in your
Yeah.
skills, right?
Yeah. Definitely agree.
2007, when you lost the Ultimate Fighter. And this is before really just to put it into perspective for those people that are not 40 years old like we are, the iPhone came out in 2008. So that the first smartphone came out in 2008. And yes, before we had fucking flip phone. Go fuck yourself. But we did have fucking flip phone back
I didn't
then.
get a smartphone until like 2017 or 15. I had this one fucking phone and it had the snake game on it. It's called the little Thai phone. It was like the Nokia. You could drop it on the concrete and it would dent the concrete. You know what I'm talking about? It was a Nokia and I had that shit. So as soon as I left Thailand, when I would come to the airport, like I had to learn how to people watch because it doesn't work. It only worked in Thailand. So I would have to fly, and I got to watch people in the airport when and I started basically what I consider the zombie apocalypse, with people just sitting down there staring at their phone.
Mm-hmm.
I felt kind of really weird, like
You were out of this world yet.
Do you remember the Roddy Piper movie where he take the glasses off, or he put the glasses on and he see the?
No.
Oh my God! All right. I'm a movie fan. Okay.
But that's good. I'm a movie fan too, but I don't know this one.
You don't remember this might be going back to the late 70s, early 80s. And he would take the glasses off. Okay.
That's a bit before my time.
And then he could see like the people that were like these like reptile kind of creatures. And if he take the glasses off and then put them back on, he could see him again.
So that's what you're saying.
That's how I felt.
You saw zombies everywhere.
Everywhere. When you don't have a
on.
phone, like people should try that. Like go through an airport and fly like, and see what it looks like when you just look around without your phone. How many people really? And I did it because I was forced to. I didn't have any other option, you know. Because I'm sure I'm one of them zombies now, because now I find myself on the phone at the airport. But it was interesting back then, when you didn't have any choice and you had to look around. It was very, very surreal.
I still do it. I'm a big fan of cigars, so I will go somewhere, have a drink, have a cigar, and I people watch all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of psychology. I love to see people interact.
Yes.
And see just the dynamic of human relationship to me is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. Very interesting.
When you lost in 2007, tell me what goes on through your head, because to put it into perspective, and that's what I was saying, is this is 2007, before the UFC made it great, like made it big the way it is. There was no TV deals. There were no Reebok everywhere. There was no event every week. There were events every couple of months. We knew everybody on the roster, so we felt like we were like part of a special club. Like absolutely. But you're a pioneer. Like, let's call a spade a spade. You're part of the pioneers, and unfortunately, you didn't get paid for what you guys. Yeah. It's because of it's on you guys' back that the UFC made it big, right? Let's not lie to each other, and it's okay. Every business is like that.
Pioneers never get. We got exactly what we should have got. Like pioneers aren't supposed to get. Because then we're not pioneers. If we're not paving the way for the generation to come behind us to do better than us, then I think as pioneers we failed. If we don't make the generation better fighters than us, able to avoid the pitfalls that we made, and if they're in the same situation we're in years later, then we failed as pioneers.
You felt as a mentor as well.
As a mentor and everything.
If you take those people under your wing, it's your job to teach them the mistake they don't need to make. Yeah. But there's mistakes they need to make, obviously, to toughen them up.
Of course.
But you're absolutely right. And it's good to see it that way, because a lot of guys are bitter. You can see it. And there's a lot of fighters out there that were considered pioneers. You can feel it. They might not say it out loud, but they're bitter. Yeah. Well,
the UFC was never my dream, though.
What was your dream?
To do what I did, live like a savage in Thailand, because it was harder for me. For me, I believed it was harder to do what I did in Lumpinee than it was to do in the UFC.
You actually fought in Lumpinee?
3 times, yeah.
Fuck yeah, bro.
And then the only reason I didn't, was making a name for myself, and then it closed down. So I was that last wave to close down and I never gone to the new Lumpinee.
Man, I'm getting chills from it. This is a great sign of respect as a foreigner to fight in Lumpinee Stadium. Yeah. For the people out there that are not Thai, this is literally you're fighting for the king in his biggest stadium. Yeah. This is the Madison Square Garden of Thailand times 10. Yeah, because there's history.
I felt more nerves in there than I didn't mean to cut you off than I did in the UFC.
Cut me off, man. Of course you did.
I felt more nerves, and I knew it was harder to do what I was going to do than it would be to do what I did in the UFC.
Good for you.
'Cause I made it to UFC as a left-hander. I'm not left-handed. I just fought because I thought it was easy and kind of like funny. Then. Even Matt was fooled for a longest time. He thought I was left-handed the whole time, because I would just spar left-handed.
But you're a righty.
Yeah, I'm right-handed, but I can go switch stances. But I would stay disciplined enough where I can maintain where no matter even when I'm the nail, I won't switch back. I still have enough discipline to remain in the stance that I chose to fight with for whatever fight I chose to fight that way.
Man, I still can't believe you fought in Lumpinee.
Yeah, and there's a funny story about that.
Fuck, man.
Fought on the same day. Okay, well, Lumpinee, weigh-ins are the day of. So the morning of, you go weigh in, you get down on the cattle scale, they strip you down naked, people sitting around, they smoke, like gamblers looking at you, sizing you up, seeing like, you know, just feel like a pack. Like
they're making the odds. They're putting the odds together for your fight,
So I had literally fought, I want to say maybe the week earlier, and I remember being banged up, and I was like, my girlfriend at the time had come visit me, and I was asked the boss, like, can I take a break? And he was like, okay, take breaks. So we went to this place called Kanchanaburi, and I was in Tamaka at this camp named Sipmo Chai. And then we went to a girlfriend and I, the boss let us borrow his car. I couldn't drive on that side. I couldn't drive. So they were like, because they wouldn't let me drive scooters. So they're like, there's no way you're getting behind the wheel of this car. So they were like, because I would take the scooter out, and there were a few times, like, I didn't know what to do, how to cross the street, so I would leave it and then just run back to get one of the boys. Like, hey, you got to move this scooter, because I was too scared to go across, because I kept crashing into things. And so he let us take the car. We drove, and we had a nice time. We came back, and she was like, I want to train at the camp. And I was like, okay, well, let me see. You know, I don't know. You know, it was still new having foreigners, and because I was the first foreigner that they took in the sponsor to live like a Thai. And so I said, well, let me ask her. Like, yeah, she can come and work out and stuff. And I remember we go at first I was like, do you want to stay in the room? Because I lived on a mattress. My trainer, crew Druop, and then crew Yard were on the mattress, and eventually moved out to be crew Sand. And then, so it's just 3 mattresses on the floor, and we just had a fan. And then, so it's like a family in Thailand, like a real family atmosphere. And so my trainer's like, okay, if she can stay here. And me, I'm like, I just want to stay in the camp so I can get up train every day. Like, this is cool. She looked at me and was like, I ain't having it. So I was like, oh, man, we got to go somewhere. So anyway, we come back, and we go for our run. You know, you do a 6-7 mile run. You come back, and I remember I'm sitting down there on the bench wrapping my hands. And then one of the trainers is on the phone. Then crew drew out, my trainer runs over like this. Okay, stop wrap hand. Okay, check weight. I said, what? He said, okay, check weight. So I go, I check my weight. They make another phone call, and he's like this. Okay, put sauna suit on, run around a little bit. And he's like this. Okay, check weight. And I was like, okay, we go fight. Tonight, you fight. But they never told me they was fighting in Lumpinee. They're just like, we're going to the fight. So the big boss had came back, and he had a house, apartment, a condo in Bangkok as well. It's the gym where he lives in Tamaka, Simachai. So we're in the car, and I'm just like, okay, we're just going to fight in Bangkok, and it doesn't tell me anything. Then we're getting closer, and then I hear someone say, okay, Lumpinee, oh, strong fighters. And I remember saying, yo, what the fuck, man? We going to Lumpinee? Like, you guys never told me this, man. And this is the surreal moment. So you go, you do your weigh-in, and I was like a last-minute replacement or whatever for this kid that was good. So I'm like, oh, I'm dying for sure. And so we go in, and I remember we get on the scale, I weigh myself, whatever, you strip down, because there you got to go naked, you strip down naked or whatever. If you don't make your weight, you just go, you put on your sauna suit, you run around the parking lot, come back. It's not like the thing here where they don't give a fuck. They just want you to show up to fight, make the weight and fight. If it takes you some extra time, just do it.
They don't care.
Then they're not trying to fuck all the show. The fight is the show.
Yeah.
So we go, and I'm eating noodles now, and as a teenager, my first stint over there, I actually went to the original Lumpinee to watch.
So you say you're in Lumpinee, you weighed in, you got inspected like you were fresh meat for the...
Yeah, well, the medicals were amazing, because they were like, touch your toes. I couldn't do that. They were like, okay, turn around. I was like, I could do that. Like, I couldn't touch my toes at the time. Like, touch your toes. I was like, all right. And I got as close as I could. And they're like, okay, stand up. Turn around. They're like, cough. I was like, and the whole time, I don't even think he heard me, because he was just looking down. And he was like, let me see your hands. He's looking down. I was like, so I just started doing like, and he was like this. Okay, yeah. And then we rolled out, and then I weighed in. But
they don't care.
They don't give a shit. So I remember eating noodles, and it was so surreal, because I walked past. Then I was just like, I want to walk around. So I told the boss, the big boss, PA, I was like, okay, I want to walk around and stuff, because I was like, I came here as a teenager. Like, this is my dream. Like I got to make sure I don't fuck this moment up.
How old are you at that point?
This time I had to be 30. Oh God, there's so many. It's been together. I want to say 32.
Shit, still. Huh? That's the first time you fought in Lumpinee?
In the Lumpinee, yeah.
Okay.
I was 19, my first go round there in Thailand, but not Lumpinee. I wasn't at that level. So now I'm in the Lumpinee, and I remember sitting there because I remember as a teenager when I first went over there, sitting in Lumpinee as a spectator.
Of course.
And the irony is I remember seeing the same spot. It was like it came back to me. And I remember sitting there and I'm trying to hold myself together because this is something this has been a dream. It was never, everyone is confused about, the UFC was never my dream. It was never my dream. MMA just so happened. I didn't care about it. And even a while, I guess I can go back a little bit. When I got to the UFC, all I wanted to do was get out the UFC. Because because I knew that Thai boxing was my dream. So I remember sitting in the same stand, the same place I sat in as a teenager. And I actually kind of like just saw myself fighting in that ring because I would be fighting later on that night in the big show. And it was just surreal. I just remember sitting there. Then the big boss came in there. And I'm trying to hold myself together because I want to tear up. And I'm like, man, this is probably going to I definitely don't want to look like I've been crying. And then God forbid I get knocked out and shit. And then they look in my puffy eyes. And they're like, not only was he crying, he got his ass whooped at the same time. So I'm just trying to hold it together in myself. And then, the fight went off. And I did well. I won in the first round. Elbows. Because fear is a powerful fucking motivator.
That it is.
Very powerful.
So you won your first fight ever in Lumpinee?
Yes, because fear is a powerful fucking motivator. Because I was fucking terrified. I said, this is a 1 round fight.
Somebody's going down.
One of us has got to die in this first round. I'm like, I don't know who it's going to be, but he going to do what he do. I'm going to do what I do. One of us is going to do it better. But I'm like, this ain't going 5 rounds.
Did you fight a Thai guy?
Yeah.
What weight did you fight at? Because you're tall.
I was either 150, so would that be 70 kilos, 72 kilos, so 150, 155.
1 to 150, 155, yeah.
Not 150, 155 to 158. I couldn't make 150.
That's too small. Huh?
Yeah, way too small. But then I would fight different weight classes, like in the provinces, before they started, I guess, hearing about me in Bangkok, I had to fight in the South. And in the South, there's no
weight class?
No. I don't know what it's like now. The times have changed a little bit. But back then, you'd show up and maybe the guy that's on the poster with you shows up. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe the guy's a tuk-tuk driver. Maybe he's a killer. I fought a guy once that was 205 pounds.
Damn. You were 155, 160?
Maybe I was 164.
Yeah.
165, something like that. I wasn't obviously that big as him, but you just show up and they just looked at it, oh, you got same in height. Because I was supposed to have an opponent. He was training for a fight, didn't have an opponent. And I remember the promoters came up to me and they're like, okay, you same height. I said, no, motherfucker. There's a weight difference, bro. Look at me, man. Look at me. Strong gust of wind could blow me over. Look at this fucking guy. They're like, okay, but he doesn't listen. He said, okay, same.
Did you win?
Yeah. Well, no, I lost. I lost. I set a record. I gave him, I think 40 stitches in his face, and I fractured his arm. But because the promotion was a Chinese promotion that his gym owned, they didn't let me to win. I lost the decision. 5 rounds. 40 stitches. Yeah, I went in because I counted those motherfuckers. Because I was like, all right, if I'm not getting this win, I'm going in there. I'm going to see exactly how much damage I done. Because I enjoyed it. Because I was like, yeah, he going to remember me for the rest of his life.
Those are all elbows, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Left a mark. He looks at himself in the mirror, remembers you.
And that's part of when I talk about pain, that was part of the pain. And it cost me more. Sometimes it cost me victories. Because it got to the point where, like I said, pain, I really didn't really care about winning. I just wanted to maim you within the context of the rules. And that's not always the best thing to do. But I had so much pain in me a lot of times like that. That's all I wanted to do was, it's like your first love. My first love was elbows. I didn't come up in the time. There was no amateur. You just fought.
Yeah.
It was just Thai boxing. I'm coming back from the days of Ali Tudo where it's headbutts, no gloves, 1 30-minute round. So it was a different era when I was coming up and stuff. And so that coupled with the pain, I was like, this is violence. And I have a certain skill, a certain rule set, that I'm allowed to, certain weapons I'm allowed to use. And yeah, for me, I fell in love with the elbows. It's like your first love. Same thing when it goes with Muay Thai versus MMA. Muay Thai was what I found first. It's my first love. It's hard you never forget your first love.
Yeah, no, you don't. You're absolutely right.
And that was my first love, and elbows was my first love as a weapon. Plus, seeing the kind of horror that they could
It's the damage. Huh? Elbows
the
are
damage.
beautiful for that, and you're
Yeah.
never gonna break your elbow in somebody's
You're
face.
never gonna break your elbow.
Not in somebody's face.
No, not at all.
It's about the only thing that in knees you'll never
Yeah.
break them
No.
using them on someone.
No.
They're not meant for that. They're
No.
meant to break shit. They're meant
It's
to
a
be the
brutal
hammer.
weapon. Yeah, it's meant to inflict brutality.
And see, this is another thing. It drives me absolutely ballistic watching MMA. They do not know how to throw elbows.
No.
And it pisses me off. They're clinching against the fence. I'm screaming at this. I'm just screaming,
Yeah.
elbows. It's just right there.
Yeah.
And not an elbow from the back
No.
up. Just a tap. Just a tap around the eyebrows. It's split open. The fight's done.
Lack of teaching. There's not teachers. You only can do what you know.
You're
What you've been
absolutely
taught.
right.
So I mean, if it's if you don't search out the knowledge and the teachers to help you hone that skill, then I don't expect it that skill to like grow in the sport if they're not really teachers out there to teach it.
Is there a good, in your opinion, is there a good clinch instructor? Because that's another thing that bothers me. Like I've clinched with a lot of wrestlers.
A Thai or what
No,
kind of
but
clinch?
because one of the things I hate about MMA, and since you're a Muay Thai guy, I can ask your opinion because you understand what the hell I'm talking about. I've wrestled with a lot of wrestlers, and they don't
Okay.
understand what knees and elbows are.
No.
Like, oh, you can hold me down all you want. I'm fucking your face up with elbows. I don't
Wait,
care.
folk style or Greco?
Well, Greco's different. Greco's
Yeah.
different. There's not that many good Grecos in MMA. They're mostly shooters from the outside, right?
Nowadays, the old
Yeah.
guys, the Team Quest, Randy Couture.
Yeah, that's what Randy.
The old guys used to be Greco guys.
But this is a different. This is dangerous for a Thai guy. Because
The Greco guy is
yeah.
different. More, yeah. So I had to infuse Greco in there. But I'm sorry. What were you
But
saying?
what I was saying is, do you not think it lacks in MMA though the clinch work that Thais use? Because there's so many ways to control people and create space to throw those nasty elbows that are gonna finish fights.
In the whole on all of MMA, or are we talking about the UFC? Because if you count the one, you can't say the one FC if you're familiar with the one FC, because they're pulling in all these great Thai boxers.
I'm talking more North American. You're
Yes.
absolutely right. Because the Asian part,
Yeah.
they've understood elbows a long time
Yeah.
ago and they use it all
sure.
the time. But on this side of the
Yes.
country, although one has more viewership
Of course.
worldwide than the UFC does,
Absolutely.
they don't rack the amount of money. Nothing. The UFC is a big business and
Of
they
course.
make money. One doesn't. They showed their numbers a few
Yeah.
weeks ago. They're losing money. It's I think the guy that owns the thing
Chatri.
is really, it's out of passion that he does what he does. And
Yeah.
I've known people that fought there, and he says the respect that he shows to his fighters is incredible. It's supposed.
Yeah, I was at the first one FC.
Yeah.
The first one FC in Malaysia. I was living in Malaysia.
It's a different game. Supposedly.
It's martial arts over there.
Yeah,
So
it's
they
part of
don't
the
like-
culture.
Shit talking like
Yeah,
which is one of the reasons I liked it.
Yeah.
There's no hoopla, there's no trash
Yeah.
talking. I mean, even after my Lumpinee fight, it was a big fight. The guy walks around. I probably shouldn't have done this. I was so excited. I licked the ropes because I was like, I want this shit in my DNA.
oh, that's disgusting.
Whatever, man. I can't say I've always done smart things, but then I remember not long after, I was like, you're probably going to need to get a blood test.
That's my point. That's why I'm saying.
But it's okay. It worked out.
I've been bled by partners in my mouth.
Yeah, it works out.
It happens. And
Yeah.
even in training, it happens. So it's all good.
Absolutely. But the winning of so they come, the referee just grabs you, put your hands up, and hurry up, get on out of here. We got the next fight coming in. There's no interviews beforehand,
No.
and then it's very martial arts oriented. You're not. You look crazy if you start talking shit to someone or pushing somebody at the
But
weigh-in.
it's disrespectful.
It's very disrespectful. You look and you might find yourself floating in the river. You don't want to do that in that culture because it's all about Bushido.
But I understand it. Yeah, the way of the warrior, of course.
Yeah.
But this is what bothers the hell about martial arts. We westernized it to a point where the culture, the spirituality, this is one thing they don't understand. Thailand is a Buddhist country.
Yeah.
I meditate every day, and if there's one way I can keep I like to call my inner self kind of the dog. Like there's a dog in me, and I
Absolutely.
chain it.
Yeah.
My meditation is what martial art and meditation is what chains it
Yeah.
and keeps it in check. My monster's in check.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But they don't teach that shit here. That's why you see those fucking disrespectful assholes pushing each other,
Yeah.
calling them name. I remember Pride FC. You'd have fucking 40,000 people in an audience,
Yeah.
and you heard the corner, not because
more
they were
than that sometimes 100,000
but not because there were microphones there. Is the commentator's microphone picking up what the guys are saying in the ring because the Japanese are not talking. And they didn't care that you were 10-5, that you were 5 win, 10 losses. They respected you for being a fighter, which in the UFC, those fucking assholes that boo fighters, this is, I'm going to fight. Like, one day I will fight somebody in his stance. You want to be tough, bro? Fight me.
But it's the culture there, too. Martial arts is ingrained. Like, if you think about it, we're in it. So it seems like a lot of people. But in America, I'd be surprised if maybe 0.5% of the population actually did martial arts.
Oh man, I'd be
very surprised.
Less. It's probably a
than
lot less than
0.5.
that.
Yeah,
you're probably.
Well, if you think of Thailand, you have to think of everyone does it. It's 70% of the population.
It's the equivalent of your football.
Yeah, it's culture. Same thing in Japan.
Yep.
Even when I go to Holland to train over there, you got it's cultural.
Yep.
So they have a much more understanding of the sport, of the ways, and like you said, the Buddhism.
Yep.
See, Thais, when people are surprised when they go over there, it's like it seems very not what you expect from martial arts because they don't look at it as a martial art. It's just fighting to them. They don't understand the concept of martial arts because the spirituality exists within their culture in general because they're Buddhists.
Yep.
So they don't need to keep it in the gym because it's just part of their culture.
It's already there.
It's ingrained in their everyday society.
Yep.
So to them, it's just fighting. Like no different than chicken fighting or anything like that. That's all it is, and all we are is in a lot of ways we're just part of a stable.
Yep.
In the family. So, but to answer your question, back to the clinching thing.
Oh shit! That's
you have guys like Matt Brown.
Yeah,
Matt Brown still good in the clinch, and I think it's going to start to come over. If you look at the way the Dagestanis are wrestling, if you see they're not shooting a lot, and if you watch most older wrestlers,
they're more their style is not Greco,
more
but
Greco with the sambo
it,
mix, their inside trips and things like that. If you
but
watch,
that's because they have a big judo. I'm not saying they have a judo component, but they have the equivalent.
They do have a judo component. Yeah.
Because when they get close, they're throwing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
How he threw what was his name?
Islam threw Oliveira with a.
It was
Uchimata? I forget what
it was. Beautiful.
Yeah,
it was a beautiful judo throw.
They all do that.
He fell perfectly into it, and just the end was from there. But it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But the work that you can do from the clinch,
absolutely,
just those elbows, just creating it instead of always being worried about fighting. Because in Thai, you fight the biceps. You're always controlling the bicep, not to fucking get elbowed in the face.
Yeah,
but they don't do that in the UFC. Their biceps are often, they fight the hands. But you can grab my hand all you want, I'll elbow on top of your hand, right?
How many times have you gone to a gym and seen a bunch of UFC fighters clinching? Thai clinch?
Never. Every single time I spar with MMA guys, I control them in the clinch. I can be taller than you. I'll let you come close. Just so I love clinching. I love fucking with people in the clinch and making you feel that you're very weak.
Absolutely,
Yeah. There's nothing like being able to control
with the big guys.
Oh, that's what
I would do seminars and then pick out the big guy of the class. Be like, hey, let's clinch. I'd be like, I would look around and see the biggest guy. Like,
come.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, you about 230. You gonna work perfectly. And you're a UFC veteran. It's gonna be fucking fun. And I'm anorexic looking. Oh, it's gonna be embarrassing for you.
Yeah, but you're probably strong as fuck. You're
probably
stiff as fuck. Like you're probably the muscles are used to work in a certain way, right?
Well, yeah, I think what happened was the time I spent at Look Probot camp. Look Probot was the most famous clinch camp.
Oh, so there you go.
The training was incredible. I mean, at the end of every afternoon session, mind you, six days a week, twice a day, and then at the end, it's one round and 1 hour and a half. You just clinch.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
And if you have a fight, you can't take a break. They'll just keep circling people in. And then after that, you're still doing your 800 skip knees on the bag. So that right there, then you do your pull-ups, your dips, and everything like that. Now, doing that for a long time, I mean, every camp, minimum in Thailand, you're going to clinch 30 minutes. That's the minimum at every camp.
As you should.
Depending on what camp you're at. Some camps took a model like those Camp M in the Air. They would do their clinching first. Then they would go into their pad work. So they would do 30 minutes of clinching. Then they would go into pad work, sparring, and other things like that. And that was the first time I experienced that. That was interesting for me because lactic acid built up. Because even though I had been clinching in Thailand for so long, I had never done it in the beginning.
That's very
different. You come back from your run,
you
do your standard, you jump your rope, so you run in the afternoon, maybe you run your 7 miles in the morning, come back in the afternoon, run your 3 miles, then you jump your rope for 30 minutes. After that, you clinch. I had never experienced that. It was a completely different experience.
It's tougher.
Much tougher.
Yeah, because you haven't removed your lactic acid by training, so you're going right into it when you're still a bit pumped up.
It took me about 3 weeks to get used to it.
Yeah, and training 6 times a week.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, 12 times a week because you're doing it morning and night.
Well, that doesn't bother me because by this time I had been used to it.
Yeah.
You know, that was just every day, and that's something I just I never thought about. I did up until I was 40. I never thought about it because I'd get up in the morning, and one of the reasons you live in the camp, so you don't think about anything else. There's no distractions. There's no distractions. I never had to worry about I'm gonna get a girl and then we're gonna go live and she's gonna come live with me. Nah, you can't live in the camp. You know, there's the days you're not motivated, it just starts becoming robotic. You just know.
It's called discipline.
I maybe, but there were a lot of days I didn't want to do it. My hand was hurt. Maybe it was too hot out there. Maybe I just been fighting a lot of times. So there's a lot of ebbs and flows because you're fighting. Maybe you fight 3 times in a week. You eventually, you know, it becomes too normal. So you're like, oh, what am I doing this for, kind of thing. But when you have other kids, the other boys in the room, they're getting up. You get up with them because they're gonna wake you up. They're not quietly getting up. So at 6 o'clock, you start realizing, to the point where it got so ingrained in me. When I retired, I would still wake up at 6 in the morning. Yeah. And I would literally do it for at least the first 2 months. I remember I would wake up at 6 in the morning and put my shoes on because when I got the job at Max, I became depressed when I retired. Mm-hmm. And the mama and papa, the big boss of the camp, didn't want to put me out because I didn't know what I would do. So I'd still live at the camp, and they would ride me to work because they were also promoters at Max because I was in a sponsored gym. Where we were contracted to fight for Max. And they would ride me to work because they could just see I was depressed. And it would be 6 o'clock in the morning. And they would let this go on for a while. I would put my shoes on every morning. So you get up, you brush your teeth, throw some water in your face, and then you go, and I would start running. And then sure enough, halfway through, they would see me come walking back to the camp with this sad face on. Because I would go halfway through the run, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm fucking retired. I don't have to do this shit. And I would just turn around and walk back. And they would laugh, but it was ingrained in me. And then when I finally got my own apartment, and I was like, okay, I want to move out and everything, get my own apartment and stuff, like live closer to the stadium where I actually worked. I would still get up. I'll find myself getting up in the morning at that same time, and it would be times where I would get up, put my feet on the ground, and act like I'm looking for my running shoes, and then just like kind of shake my head, like, wait a minute, the days are done. Yeah, you don't have to do this anymore. But I didn't realize how much of a routine it became to me. And so I think it wasn't so much discipline. I think it was just I made it a routine more than a discipline. Because I like to sit here and say I'm the most disciplined person, but I don't know if it was discipline or if it just became literally part of my routine, like breathing. I
think it's discipline. I would say personally, looking from the outside in, and that's just my opinion, I think that was discipline.
Okay.
Because it's easy. You know, so many people are stuck on motivation. But motivation's attached to your emotions.
Yeah.
So the day you feel like shit, guess what? Your motivation's out the door.
Yeah.
That's why discipline's so important. This is why repetition, this is why routine is so important and not just not just fighters. Because to me, fighting is a direct replica of life.
Mm-hmm.
Life is going to suck. There's things that you need to do that you don't want to fucking do.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Shut the fuck up, suck it up, and do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
But without discipline, you're going to be average.
Okay, yeah.
And as I told you earlier, you're not fucking average. So don't ever call you that again.
All right, I appreciate it.
But, man, it's... I think you and I could speak for like 3 hours, 4 hours. We could carry this on and on and on. The next time I'm in here, the next time I'm around, I'm going to stop by and we do this again.
Okay.
Because I know we've been going for a while. I
didn't even know how long we've been going.
That's a good question, actually. Limit? No, we normally go an hour. I don't want to take more of your time.
Hey, look, I'm happy in the conversation, so it doesn't matter.
It's really up to you.
I'll go as long as you want to hear me tell my stories.
Hey, bro, I've recorded things that were 3.5 long. So.
Okay.
So that's just me, but for all the people there. But
my manager's here, see. Can we go longer?
Yeah, that one died, though.
Okay.
So I think the cameras are telling us to stop.
Oh, okay, fair
But
play.
I promise you, man, I'll be back. Before I finish with you, though, there's a question I always like to ask people.
Okay.
Can you define to me what a good man is?
A man is honest and willing to accept his faults.
Damn.
Because we live in a world now where people lie to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the lies they tell themselves affect others. And then it becomes to a point where those lies blur the reality that they live in. And before you know it, they don't know the difference between one and the other. And that's when I think that's what hell is. When you can't, I think, or I should say heaven is when you can close your eyes and like live in peace. Hell is when you tell yourself a lot of lies and now you sit there stuck with the lies that you tell yourself. And you can tell everyone else the lies, but you can never lie to yourself.
Fucking Christ, I did not expect that. Damn, man. I'm gonna stop it right there. I don't think anything needs to be added to this. This is listen. This is. I don't think truer words have ever been spoken. So good on you, man.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your time. It's been a fucking
me.
pleasure speaking to you, man. I never know where those podcasts are gonna go, and man, this was awesome. I did not realize that was your journey, but man. We'll do this again.
Oh, yeah. You didn't even get the good parts of the journey. Didn't tell you about going blind.
Next time we'll talk about it.
Next time we'll have some stories for you.
Bro, thanks for your time, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man.
You've been listening to the Nico Lagan Show. Nico has been involved in the martial arts for 20 years. He's a Muay Thai coach, focus coach, podcaster, and sought-after public speaker. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you've gotten some useful and practical information. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Coach Nico Lagan and on YouTube at The Nico Lagan Show. See you next time.